Coming up on Nittany Game Week.
I don't think we've ever been 20-point underdogs since I've been here, but it's motivation.
The odds are stacked against them in Columbus. What the Nittany Lions need to do to pull off a big upset against top-ranked Ohio State.
Since I was a kid, I dreamed about playing in that stadium.
Once again, Penn State travels to their border rivals with a starting QB from Ohio. How Ethan Grunkemeyer is prepping for a return to his home state. And the defending national champions replace 14 starters with another wave of talented players. Which areas the Buckeyes could be vulnerable for this showdown in the horseshoe. This is Nittany Game Week. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski alongside former Nittany Lions coaches Jay Paterno and Tom Bradley. Before the season started, this one had top 5 matchup potential. The Buckeyes have lived up to their end of the deal. Now it's unranked Penn State, but they still have their sights set on number 1 Ohio State.
Well, it doesn't matter what you rank now at this point. You got to go out and play Ohio State. You still have the same people on your team with the exception of quarterback. So, the matchups that you were looking forward to in August are still there by and large.
And you should be excited to go play. You're going to go to one of the great football stadiums next to Beaver Stadium. I think it's the second best one, okay? And it's an opportunity. I mean, how can you, if you're any type of a player, you're excited to get on that plane and get out there and play.
Yeah, and they've had a couple weeks to think about it, so they should be good to go. The Nittany Lions enter this game as 3-touchdown underdogs. We provide some hope they can pull off the upset. Another PSU QB from Ohio leads them into this border state rivalry game, and an idea that begins in Beaver Stadium will soon be a permanent option on campus in our opening drive. Well, there's no getting around it. It's been one-sided for a stretch now against the Buckeyes. 8 straight losses to Ohio State, 1-12 since the last win in Columbus. Considering, Tom, you were the interim coach in that game back in 2011, we decided to cue up the game video, generate some positive vibes. Of course, it's not going to be easy. OSU ranked number 1, but it is possible. Take us through the mentality going into this victory in Columbus, guys.
Well, I think the mentality is us against the world, but you only can focus on the things that involve your team. And when you look at it, Penn State actually is the more veteran team coming into this game with guys that have played in a lot more big games than the Ohio State guys have.
Well, you mentioned it, Jay. They lost 14 starters from last year's national championship team. Their schedule has not been that rough. Could be overconfident. Listen to the 2 interim head coaches going into a matchup in Columbus and listen to the similarities in the message.
We still control our own destiny, and we can still win this thing. And I told them what's at stake, and they understand that. They're well aware. We know we have a tough task ahead of us going to Ohio State.
We're going to do things a little bit different in the sense of how I would like to do it. And those guys in the locker room have bought into it. So each day we continue to get more camaraderie. Each day we get closer. Each day we continue to work harder. We have great leadership in the locker room.
Certainly different situations than 14 years ago. In 2011, the team was still contending for a division title, and this year's team goes into a powerhouse Buckeyes program with their backup QB. The message is the same, though, as you can hear. Stick together, play smart, efficient football, and anything can happen.
Well, getting a fast start, we talk about when you go out to Columbus, weather the storm, and that's been a problem for opponents going out there. Ohio State this year, outscoring their opponents 120-12 in the first half, have not even allowed a first half touchdown all year. But the key thing is stay in this thing, stay tight, Tom, and be within striking distance.
Well, I think that's going to all change on Saturday. I really think that Penn State's going to be geared up for this one and go out and play a terrific game.
Ironically, the Nittany Lions continue to go with quarterbacks born in the Buckeye State to lead them against the Buckeyes. They'll do it again with Ethan Grunkemeyer, his hometown less than 30 minutes from the horseshoe. A lot of excitement for Grunkemeyer heading back home for this one.
Going back home, that's definitely something, I've since I was a kid, I dreamed about playing in that stadium. So it's going to be cool to go back home and be able to have the chance to do that.
Yeah, what a thrill for Grunk. Certainly unexpected for him this early to start in the shoe. He needs to play mistake-free to have a chance. in Columbus. Now, our coaches are going to have much more on this showdown at the Shoe in our scouting report, but we have some other news from the bye week. The XL Foundation is a nonprofit organization founded by Penn State alumni. They have sponsored sensory rooms and spaces for fans in Beaver Stadium, at the Super Bowl, and even during Thon at the Bryce Jordan Center. Their reach and mission continues to expand with a permanent space on Penn State's main campus.
I met with a couple students and they were saying, hey, we would really think that the college would benefit from a sensory space. And I was like, funny enough, it is on the way.
It's no longer on the way. It's now under construction and soon a reality.
I think that this could be an opportunity to just bring our students back and ground them. When there's a need where they get maybe overstimulated, this is an opportunity to kind of bring them back so that they can go into the classroom and perform to their highest ability.
Some students, they give up because there just wasn't enough resources for them. And sometimes something like this can just give them that little bit more motivation that they need to stick it through.
The room is located on the ground floor of the College of Education building. It's sponsored by the XL Foundation and designed by Culture City. It should be fully functional by the end of the semester with a ribbon cutting in early 2026.
I think as we're preparing future educators, really modeling what sensory spaces can look like in their own application, in their own future classrooms.
XL is the name Lex spelled backwards. Lex is the son of the foundation's president, Elisa, and the inspiration behind the organization that helps to fund autism research.
We started at the sensory rooms, and now we're the research, and there's all these different paths that we could go. So to dive into the education sector is so important because one day Lex is going to be here, and I can't wait.
And we never get tired of featuring the great work from the XL Foundation as they continue to enhance the Penn State community. Back to the Buckeyes when we return. Our scouting report reveals why OSU thrives on third downs. Don't go anywhere. More Nittany Game Week is on the way.
Nittany Game Week is brought to you by West Shore Home, official partner of Penn State football.
Welcome back to Nittany Game Week. If you're a former coach, and we have two of them on the show, playing the #1 and #2 teams in the nation in back-to-back weeks, will certainly get your attention. Coach Bradley, Coach Paterno, keeping in mind this is a 30-minute show, what did you discover about the defending national champions?
A lot, and they've been able to reload. That's one thing for sure. But I think what you got to understand is this is a different Ohio State offense in the past. They have shown that they will be patient. They will take what you give them. They started the game against Washington with 10 runs and 5 passes. A couple weeks later, they played a Wisconsin team that was going to play the run and lay off, and they threw 14 passes in the first 15 plays and just 1 run. So let's talk about what we should be looking for in players. Julian Sayin, the quarterback, has hit 80% of his passes, which is best in the country. Those are both first-round picks at wideout. They've rebuilt the offensive line, Tom, so there may be a chance there. And the tight ends and running backs become more prevalent in the pass game, and we'll talk about that as we look at the video. So here you look at right here, Tom, you got 3 wideouts here, 2 of whom are surefire first rounders. You got the tight end backside, and they're going to drop out of there because they don't want to give up the big play. And now Ohio State's done a good job of throwing the backs and being patient.
Well, that's one of the things they've done best of all. But the other thing it does is when you have those type of receivers, you've got to respect that. Less guys in the box makes the run game what? A lot easier.
And you better rally and make the tackle and wrap up, because here's the running back, Bo Jackson. Catches it 5 yards, turns into a 14-yard play. Now let's talk about the run game, because again, in November in the Big Ten, you got to be able to run the football. Ohio State's only 71st in the country run the football, but Penn State has had trouble stopping it. So anticipate with the problems Penn State has had trouble with the north-south run game. Here's a power play. They bring a tight end backside, guard backside, and they get their backs going north and south, Tom. And again, got to rally to the ball and make the tackles.
That's something Ohio State has done for years. Those backs have been taught for a long time. Get north and south, okay? Shoulder square, up the field.
And there, again, contact a couple yards downfield, ball, the pile goes forward. Now, third downs. They've been a great third down team, one of the top third down teams on offense and defense in the country. Here they're on offense. And again, Washington showing an all-out blitz. They check to a play. They bring him vertical. They bring the back vertical. And they bring Jeremiah Smith because people don't want to give up the big play with Smith. They bring Smith underneath and get him the ball on a throw that I can still make at my advanced age, Tom. But I don't know if I'd be as accurate.
Do you have a ball over there that we can check that out, please?
Well, I mean, this ball is caught right on the line of scrimmage, and you got a big-time player gets out in the open field, Tom, and that's scary when you're in the secondary.
There's no question about that. That's the one thing that you have. Not only do you have to cover them, you've got to tackle them too.
No question about it. Let's flip over to the other side of the ball on defense. All three levels, the front four, the linebackers, and the secondary, they have got big-time potential. There's been a lot of talk about Caleb Downs might be the best player in the country. Both linebackers are big-time. Reese has 5.5 sacks. They match up your personnel. So here, Washington goes with 2 tight ends and 2 wideouts, and they go to 3 linebackers. You got linebacker, linebacker, linebacker. So when you get those situations, you want to try and throw the ball, right, Tom?
You absolutely want to try and throw the ball, and I think that's the other thing you're going to have to be able to do is you have got to get your tight ends involved in this game.
No question. The pass game in the middle of the field, you want to try and take advantage because you're going to have to cover and help on the wideouts. And that gets us to third down. Just 21% giving up on third down. Number 1 in the country by a wide margin. Here they're going to show what looks like an all-out blitz. And when the ball snapped, they know they've got a quarterback starting just his second college game. They're going to bail out of there and go to a 3 deep here, Tom, as opposed to what this guy's looking at where he thinks he's got man-to-man coverage across the board.
That's one of the things people that are coaches are going to notice that because that happens. They're very good at doing that. Showing man, getting in the zone, being in zone, playing man. They do a great job at this, guys.
And they've had a bye week just like Penn State, so there's probably going to be a couple things cooked up. Now, is there hope for Penn State? Let's talk about the hope that I think they have. Defensively, if they can tackle in the open field, stop the run, but still be able to play coverage, not having to commit too many people to the box, and then don't try and do too much against this guy. Be simple, be precise, and do what you do and do it really well. Special teams, make a play, Tom. We talk about it, and you and I noticed on film, they're slow in their punt operation, so it may be there for them.
There may be a chance to get in the punt game, and the other thing you want to be able to do is field goals, not touchdowns.
No question. And then finally, on offense, use their substitutions against them. Stay in some no huddle, keep them from getting people on and off the field, and play fast to prevent them from making some of those complex calls and maybe wear down those big guys up front. But it's going to be an all-out effort. It's going to take 3 phases. And Todd, I think there's a chance there for Penn State. The door is open. There is a pathway to victory there.
All right, great stuff. Thank you, coaches. Of course, the mastermind in Columbus these days is Ryan Day. He certainly cemented his place in Buckeyes lore with their title run to end last season. Now, the expectation for this matchup was to have Big Ten championship implications.
When you looked at this game, a few months ago, I mean, it was an absolute matchup game. That has not changed. It's still the same players other than the quarterback. Our guys know that. They understand that, and they know that it's about us. It's not about our opponent. And so we'll focus on our preparation, but you need to know your opponent. And these are very, very talented players.
Now, last trip to Ohio Stadium was another dud for the Nittany Lions. A 20-12 loss that really wasn't even that close. 1 of 16 on third downs. This trip, they faced statistically the best defense in the country. Up next, our Impact interview offers some expert analysis on Penn State's short and long-term situations. We talk with ESPN's Greg McElroy coming up. Nittany Game Week returns after this.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
Well, we're back on Nittany Game Week. It is time for our Impact interview. And just like when he was quarterbacking Alabama to a national title, ESPN's Greg McElroy is at the top of his game when it comes to breaking down college football chaos. And that is certainly what we have here in Happy Valley these days, Greg. Let's jump right into it. There's a micro and a macro situation going on to discuss. But let's start with the micro because they've got the number 1 team in the country that they've got to worry about coming up. Do you see any way for them to pull off the upset? Where is there a path for Penn State fans to give them a little bit of hope as they head into the horseshoe?
Well, you know what's funny is we have this preconceived notion of Ohio State, and it's earned, right? It's absolutely earned. They've been dominant. They've looked great on both sides of the ball. They're unbelievable. right? I really believe that. But I do believe at the same time that this roster was concocted with one goal in mind, and that was to close the gap between Penn State and Ohio State. Now, clearly it hasn't materialized up to this point for Penn State to play at a high enough level, to be consistent enough, to do all the things that you'd like for them to do in order to get to a record that would make this game very meaningful. However, I do think about just when they attacked this roster, when they looked at their roster internally, they thought to themselves, you know what? We got to do this to better execute against the Buckeyes. But they got to find something in the passing attack, whatever it may be, you got to find something. The pass rush for Ohio State is not outrageously concerning. I think they're good, but I do think last year's group from a pass rush standpoint was a bit more dynamic. The path is narrow, but it is for everybody against Ohio State. However, I think more than most in the Big Ten, Penn State does have the personnel to be able to match up better than just about almost everybody else that Ohio State might face this year outside of Oregon and Indiana.
Okay, switching to some of the coaching carousel drama that's going on. Now, Nick Saban was your coach. You know him well, and he's now a colleague at ESPN. Everyone seems to know some inside guy who says that he wants to come back. Are the rumors about guys like Saban or Urban Meyer, are they coming back to coach? Are they like Elvis or Bigfoot sightings?
It's such a great question, man. Like that's part of the toughest deals. Like, honest opinion, I would find it very hard to believe that Nick Saban would come back. I can't speak for Urban Meyer. I don't know him personally, but just knowing Coach and having been around Coach a couple times in the last few months, he seems very content with where he's at in life. I think he loves still having an involvement in the game. I think he still loves doing 25, 30 hours of work every week that centers around football. But he also likes the freedom that comes with the job that he has right now. And that freedom was never available to him when he was a head coach. So I don't think Coach Saban's a realistic possibility, to be honest with you. As far as Urban Meyer, I do think that he might be willing. I have no idea. He's still relatively young, and his last taste of the sport as a coach didn't go the way you wanted it to go. So maybe he would want to get back in. I'm not sure. But those two guys, it feels a bit far-fetched at this point. But with some of the job openings coming up, like, you just never know, I suppose.
Hey, Greg, looking around the coaching profession, the number of high-profile firings already and the massive buyouts, do you ever see a correction in the market that gets us back to a more rational place?
What a great question. No, I don't. Because let's be real, man. Like what blows my mind about this, and look, we are all, I can't say we are all. I think a lot of people are pretty responsible, you know, from a financial decision-making approach to their life. For whatever reason, when it comes to our affiliation with sports, we are completely irrational. And that's okay. But I think part of what has driven this change in the landscape with coaches' contracts is fear. And fear, I think, is a very powerful tool. Fear of a negative headline because your coach left for another place. That's something that has driven a lot of these decisions. And to me, my question has always been, like, what are you scared of? Like, if a guy wants to go and he wants to go elsewhere, like, let's not be irrational. Like, let's stick to the blueprint of what we think makes our place special. And, like, if they're willing to give him a 10-year deal, like, just go. That's okay. Like, well, fine. And does it look bad and does it hurt for a moment? Sure, but we've seen at Florida State when Jimbo Fisher left. We've seen at Oklahoma when Lincoln Riley left. Like, there is fear. It's not against anything the coaches are doing. The coaches are getting the best deal. They should create leverage. They should maximize their opportunity. I fully support these coaches getting every dollar that they're getting. I'm just continually amazed at how many athletic directors continue to give them that and to give them that long leash, because now you're on the hook for $164 million in buyout money and it's not even Halloween.
Always appreciate Greg's time. Great insight from one of the top analysts in college football. Make sure you go to NittanyGameweek.com for the entire conversation with Greg, along with other web-exclusive content like our Nittany Connect network of businesses and the Nittany Game Week podcast. Still have our scrap medal to hand out, who Tom wants to recognize for his efforts even when the team doesn't take the field during the bye week. We're heading into the final minutes on Nittany Game Week.
Scrap Metal is sponsored by Burke and Bradley Orthopedics. Located in Pittsburgh, Burke and Bradley Orthopedics is a comprehensive sports medicine practice, providing patients with the most current and innovative approaches in diagnosis and treatment.
Time for this week's Scrap Metal. Nobody's playing, Tom, but a lot of work is being done during a bye week.
Especially when you're the interim head coach. That's why I'm going with my friend Terry Smith. Think about everything he's trying to accomplish. Keep his current team together. Keep a recruiting class from falling apart. Tweak the offensive game plan. Deal with any academic or off the field issues. And oh, by the way, the next two opponents are the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country. I know Terry is working countless hours and will have his team as prepared as possible for Ohio State in Columbus.
It's trivia time. Last week's question denied Dennis Sutton was the first Penn State player to block a punt in consecutive games since Andre Collins in 1989. One of those blocked punts was recovered for the game-winning touchdown. Which current SEC team did Penn State beat on the road in that game? The answer was Texas. Now, this week's question. Penn State and Ohio State will mark the 40th meeting between the two teams. All but one of the games were played in Columbus or State College. Which game was played at a neutral site?
And we are bringing PSU fans and alumni together with our Nittany Connect network at NittanyGameWeek.com, partnering with businesses that support the show and letting our viewers know about the great products and professional services. Make sure you check out NittanyGameWeek.com for all of our web exclusive content, airtimes for all of our network of stations, previous episodes and interviews, the Nittany Game Week podcast. It can all be found at one convenient location, NittanyGameWeek.com. And while you are visiting the website, make sure to submit your tailgating and game picks. We always finish with some pride picks, so show us your spirit. For Jay and Tom, I'm Todd. Thanks so much for watching Nittany Game Week. We'll see you next time.